In my high school, ninth grade human geography is no longer ninth grade human geography. It's a social think tank. Students don't necessarily think about how other people solve the world's problems. They think about how they can solve the world's problems and what they can do about it with their own ideas. We come up with ideas to solve problems like the world refugee crisis. A lot of people would say that this is too ambitious or that high school students can't solve a world crisis, but they think differently. They think that they actually could provide a solution because it's all just about thinking about things that with the resources that we have. They come up with ideas such as what types of institutions could we have in certain countries? What countries would take refugees? We could send these plans to a state politician so that they know what we're thinking, what students are thinking, even though they don't have the right to vote. For the next opportunity when voting comes around in the Senate, the politician knows this and can even talk to the students if that's possible. A local refugee specialist comes to the class. She discusses what it's like to be a refugee family that comes from a third world country where there's war and poverty, and she comes and she tells the students what it's like to actually move to a new country and be a refugee. The hardships of having to go to the grocery when you don't have a car and coming in when you don't know the language. And students take this information and they develop plans and a step-by-step process for accepting refugees into our local community. They then work with the local center to help refugees come in using their step-by-step process that they come up with. So it's more of a think tank. They're not thinking and musing on ideas that other people have thought of. They're coming up with their own ideas. In my 10th grade US government class, it's no longer a 10th grade US government class. They're activists. They're activists because the students in this class probably won't be politicians, if any of them at all even become politicians, but they'll definitely be citizens. And they need to learn how to be a good one. And they need to learn how to be a student and a citizen with a voice that they know is important. So therefore, we're no longer politicians or lawyers or even students. We're activists. They learn to research their own opinions and make sure that their opinions are valid so that they have proper media literacy. In a time such as today where media literacy is so important, students need to learn the difference between fake news and real news. Therefore, they become their own little researchers. They learn how to have arguments about modern issues and what's going on in government and what government really is. It's not just these people running around who make all of these decisions. It's us. We have a hand in the government. Students make their own picket signs for an issue of their choice. They're not afraid to talk about these difficult issues because if they don't talk about these difficult issues now, they won't talk about them well when they're adults. My 11th grade US history class is no longer a US history class. They're historians and they're journalists. That's because what history truly is, investigation and research. We set up the classroom like a newsroom as students put together research that comes to conclusions about history and what our society is like. We have a backdrop and a camera, and we set up a microphone so that students report what's happening in history as they learn it. To them, it's not just facts on a page or dates. It's something that actually happened to real people in real life, and they get to tell the story. Students work with the local archive to write a history of our school and its role in our town. That history was reviewed by archivists and then published for everyone in the school to see for the next decades. They are literally historians who have published peer-reviewed work that the public will read for future generations. My high school is not a high school, it's the world.